Like, why would I ever do that? Well, because there's no other reactions to go. There's nothing else to do with lactic acid, but aside from go backwards. Now, what benefit does that provide? Well, after your liver has fixed this problem, it basically sends out the glucose and says, "Try again, loser." That's what it does. You resend the glucose back to your body, and hopefully you don't mess it up this time. But if you're just not getting back into a regimen like of working out or whatever, it will happen again.
Is it efficient? Like that process that you get in your liver?
The process is efficient, except for the energy requirement. And the energy requirement makes this an inefficient process.
Yeah, like what I'm saying is like, does the liver expend more energy than it gets back in the liver?
Absolutely. Like, you hear about biodiesel these days. The big problem with biodiesel that people have is that they now are starting to theorize that it's going to take more energy to grow the corn to do biodiesel than biodiesel could actually produce. It's like, I invested $50,000 in a stock company, and after 4 years, I only have $40,000 in the account. Okay, well, how dumb am I? I mean, that would be this situation. But your body does it because, honestly, there's nothing left to do with it. And at least there can be an investment to get back to normal. And in truth, though you are losing energy on the deal, you're not losing a whole lot. Because in truth, if you're doing this in the running event, in the event that you're running, the overall goal after a year's time of building up that endurance, the dividend will be huge. The payoff will be huge. So like over the scheme of months, it's okay to have a first couple of 2 or 3 bad cracked weeks. Is there a question? Yes?
So fermentation happens because the lack of oxygen. So does it happen just all the time, like if you're just sitting around?
If you're sitting around, the oxygen that you're bringing in, the level of saturation that you have, should be sufficient. Especially like at y'all's age, and the fact that like you all have like to some degree physical activity. Even if you don't think you do, you have more probably than an adult does. So I would say for sure you don't need tons of oxygen, but without a doubt, the more so that you go this direction, like the more stuff you are doing, then the more oxygen you will be requiring. No, I'm joking. Yeah, it's for you. So yeah, but like if you ever go up the stairs or whatever, and you get winded, I'm not saying you do, I'm just saying if you did, it would be because the ATP that you're using, like you are not bringing enough oxygen to directly replenish the ATP. Like when you start to run and you breathe hard, you're like, it should, like, everyone's like, you're breathing hard, what have you been doing? I've been running. Like now you really understand like why you have to breathe hard. You need more oxygen. And I think we'll explore more and more over the course of the next couple of days, like explicitly why do you need O2 as opposed to something else. But you, at least now at this moment, you should know that O2 is what holds the hand of pyruvate inside. And if you don't hold O2, then pyruvate is too scared to go on by itself. So it ferments. And your liver has to deal with the problem. Right? Now let's talk about liver a little bit and kidney. Lactic acid, liver fixes the problem, right? What about for the guy who goes to the bar every night? What's his problem? He's drinking ethanol, right? What will happen to an individual with alcoholism that drinks alcohol each day for, well, basically forever? They'll die, probably of liver failure. I think that would make sense why they would die of liver failure now. Their ethanol is treated much like lactic acid. It's sent back and reformed into glucose. Every day of drinking, your liver is going to feel that pressure every single day. Right? Now remember when I said that your side hurts? I think, Brad, you said my side hurts. Not now, but in theory when you're exercising. Well, really what that is that your liver, again, is squeezing out all of its energy resources to use energy to fix the problem that you've created. Lactic acid, though, is a problem that would go away over time. As you work longer or as you have more of an endurance buildup, right, over time you will get into shape. And I mean that on a cellular level, so the lactic acid problem is not permanent. But this problem, with the right disease, is permanent. And what does that mean? Well, you're squeezing your liver each day, or your kidney. So what will happen to these people? Liver failure, cirrhosis of the liver replacement, like liver therapy perhaps, a transplant, maybe kidney failure. That's happened before. It's happened to members of my family. So this all should make sense now, like the dangers of it. Yes?
Does that relate to like the detoxification?
Not real. I mean, to some degree it does because the liver does detoxification, but specifically now you're seeing that and when I see detoxification, lots of times it's like the filtration system that pulls out the trash from food and stuff. But in a way, it is detoxification of this poison as it reconverts it back into something very nice and simple. Yes?
So, after a while, exercising is no longer squeezing your liver
Right.
every day.
Right.
Even if you exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Why would
Now you could agree that like if you're to the point in your life where you can do like 3 miles each morning, and you decide one day to do like 20 miles in the morning, like you're gonna have that burning sensation. But that's because you haven't been there before. But if you build up to it, it is possible to get your endurance on that level. Yes, sir.
Why wouldn't you get used to alcohol? Why would
Because the deal with the lactic acid is that like you eventually, here's the problem. If you have lactic acid buildup, basically you suck at breathing. No pun intended. Good? No.
You're so funny.
But seriously, your oxygen saturation on a cellular level is not happening. So that means that you will produce lactic acid. With time, you can get hemoglobin to operate better on the cellular level, right? You know as well as I do that if you've never ran before, but you start running and you're dedicated to it, you will get better. The problem is actually just like staying dedicated to it. That's the only like issue with people. So this production is because of O2 levels. This production is because of, well, it's not your body's production, because you ingested it. So this is preventative on a cellular level, but however, this is not. This is preventative on a psychological level.
it doesn't go away?
Right.
Like it doesn't work itself away.
Right, it doesn't. Right. Lactic acid could be prevented because it's the explanation of it being there is a physiological response on a cellular level. This being there is a response of a night out, you know, or whatever, a personal problem. There is a difference. Your body will not get used to it. And with probably not too much of a difficult task, your liver will fail. It is inevitable. Yes?
So what if you're like drinking every night, then like running 3 miles in the morning?
Hopefully when you're running those 3 miles, you've been doing that for a long period of time. But that does not excuse this, because the running 3 miles, having endurance just means that you won't produce this guy. Okay, then fine, the liver doesn't have to fix him. Way to go. You know, my liver doesn't really have to fix him, but that's because I don't try to run too much. You know, you run 3 miles a day, great. Then you don't have that either. You know, we're twins. But the control of this guy, like this is the control is not a physiological in the body thing. This is a control on consumption level. Hopefully you see the difference there. You run each morning, and if you do this each night, it's indifferent. Because the running each day builds up endurance to have more oxygen, so you go here and avoid lactic acid. Having endurance, running, sitting, whatever you do, like this is inexcusable. Like that. I mean, in other words, anything you do in your life, this will not. There's no way to eliminate the problem aside from eliminating the chemical. Yes.
I was told that like water helps with the cramping of your liver, like when you run.
All it does is dilute, like your stuff. No, like I mean, it probably will eliminate some of the cramps, but like in truth, the only way the cramps will be entirely eliminated is if you can eliminate the production of lactic acid, which is simple enough to do as long as you can saturate your levels of hemoglobin, which means that it's just practice. It's quarter mile a day, and then it's 50 miles in 2 years or whatever. Yes?
Why are you able to like run out of it? Is it like it just goes through and then no more? Is it like,
Why do the cramps on this level end?
yeah, like if you keep running, like sometimes they'll go right out or something.
Probably the only change that's occurred there is that if that happens, there had to have been something going on. I would say that your liver has been able to fix the problem. It could be that the cramps aren't like an excessive level. It could be that your liver is extremely efficient. It could be a number of things. But in truth, like all that means is that when the cramps in, that your lactic acid amount has decreased significantly. Usually that wouldn't occur until you've actually stopped the operation. If you stopped running. But you know as well as I do that like you have the cramps in your side, you stop running, you sit down, take a breather, you get up, it doesn't cramp after a while. And the cessation of the cramping is because this has all been completely reversed. Yes?
Is this like any way related to like cramps you get in like your legs or